Forward Facing Sonar. Is it good? Is it bad? How is it affecting bass fishing? Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. It's Ryan here, and I got my good buddy Nathan Skinner here, and we're going to be talking about Forward Facing Sonar. Me and him are going to have a little bit of a banter match about this, and we want to hear from you guys in the comments as well. What are your opinions about Forward Facing Sonar? So Nathan, where do you feel like your stance is on Forward Facing Sonar right now?
Yes is my stance. I think it's both good and bad. I think there are some obvious pros to it, but I think there's some significant cons. And for me right now, probably the cons outweigh the pros.
Okay, what kind of cons do you have?
For me, I think that a lot of people are getting it. They're investing a ton of money on their boat, whether it's a kayak or whether it's a bass boat. They're foregoing a crucial step of understanding how bass move and how bass react and how, what bass do season to season, cold front, etc. And I think they're skipping over learning some of that and jumping into this thing is going to make me a better fisherman instead of learning how to be a better fisherman.
Right, exactly. Yeah. The way that we all grew up, those of us that were fishing before Forward Facing Sonar even came out. I know I was a little late to the party on getting Forward Facing Sonar. I have Forward Facing Sonar now on my boat. Do I use it to help me catch fish? Possibly it might help me some, but more along what my whole argument with it is that it helps me understand what the fish are doing, what the bait's doing, and I also get to see kind of a little bit live action. What are the fish doing sitting here on this piece of structure? Are they just sitting in it? Are they moving around? What are they doing in there?
I think from that stance it's a helpful tool, but I think you're approaching it with the knowledge of a fisherman, the experience of an angler that you've had for 10, 15 years you've been fishing it.
Or longer.
I think if you can combine it with that experience, then it becomes an invaluable tool. But if you just skip right over, really understanding fishing and then go straight to live scope, I think you're doing yourself some detriment for sure.
Yeah, that is. I have the same argument that you have with that, is because I think understanding beforehand why fish do what they do, why do they bite lures that they do, why are they doing exactly what we're catching fish using Forward Facing Sonar? Why are they doing that?
Yeah.
And I totally agree with you on that. I think we're skipping an entire sequence that is really, really, really important to understanding bass fishing in general, and not just bass fishing, crappie fishing, striper fishing, all that different kind of stuff. Whatever the tug for your drug is,
I look back, at probably my favorite pro angler of all time, Aaron Martin. And you just think back on his career and how good he was at finesse fishing, like power finesse fishing, and how he could just drop, a lure right on a bass just because he knew that related to this structure at this time of day with the shadow casting this way at this depth, the bass is going to be right there.
Right.
And he would just catch so many fish just with that deep knowledge. And I kind of see, at least for me, I see maybe Forward Facing Sonar taking that away a little bit.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. God rest his soul, Aaron Martins. He was he was really one of the pioneers of finesse fishing. If you really want to go with it that way, if it was, I'll never forget him being on the California Delta and using a drop shot around grass and stuff, and everyone was like, "Oh, you're crazy."
Yeah.
But he almost won that tournament that year over there at the California Delta. Yeah. But in terms of Forward Facing Sonar, I think that it is a tool first and foremost that you need to be able to use. But I don't think utilizing it, and I see this especially with a lot of the younger generation, the high school kids, they stare at that screen all day. Do they fully understand why the fish are doing what they're doing? All they know is that there's a fish out there swimming around.
Yeah, I was really down on Forward Facing Sonar too, especially when for the past few tournaments, I think Bass made some changes that made it a lot more entertaining to watch on TV.
Yeah.
But we were talking about St. Lawrence River, like watching people just stare down at their graph all day while rocking on the river, fishing for smallmouth was the most boring tournament I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah, it was. And Bass did just recently, for those of you guys that watched the Bassmaster Classic that Jeff Gustafson won, they actually had a camera sitting there on his Humminbird with his Mega Live, showing his bait, showing the fish come up, him dropping the bait down to fish, and then watching him. And that was cool. That makes things a lot more, interesting and more entertaining from a perspective of watching a tournament on TV or on the internet that's live action going on. But I don't know, any other thoughts about that? You got any other, what are you, if you was going to get one, what would be your favorite one? What would be the one that you would pick out of all of them?
I would honestly probably say Humminbird, just because I like the Humminbird ecosystem the best. Shout out to LJ for that. But if I had to pick one outside the like the whole ecosystem of products, I'd probably get Garmin.
Okay, yeah, because I have a Garmin. That's the one that I have. I have the Garmin with the 93 SV, just a simple setup on the front of my boat. You know, the past couple
Garmin
times,
pioneered it. Like, they invented it. So.
Yeah, exactly. And and I will say this though, for me, the past couple times that I have actually fished over the past couple of weeks, I haven't even turned my forward facing sonar on. I don't need it.
Yeah, I don't need it right now.
You don't need it right now. So you know, guys, but we want to know what your opinion is on forward facing sonar. What are the pros? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you love it? What do you want to do?
Do you think there should be some tournament trails that, you know, say, you know what?
That is
Let's
a big
not
one.
have it.
That is that is a very big point right there. Should pros be allowed to even use it?
Yeah.
Do you hear about, if you are active on any forms of social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, whatever, there are a lot of comments being thrown around there that on the professional side, if you are a professional and you consider yourself and you fish on a professional circuit, that is your job. That is how you put food on the table. Do you need it? Should you have it?
Yeah.
What are the pros and cons of that? You know, there's a lot of different banter back and forth about why yes, why no, and then you got some people who are just plain flat out ugly about it. But you know what? Everyone's entitled to their own
I actually
opinion
think it'd be
about it.
cool if you did both in a tour. Like if you did, like, you know, bass, for instance, they did some tournaments that allowed it and some tournaments that didn't, based on the fishery.
Yeah, I still think that an entire series that revolves around zero electronics would be far more interesting to watch.
That'd be super interesting.
I think that would separate a lot of the men from the boys, in my opinion.
I bet Bill Dance would win that tournament.
Yeah. So anyway, so guys, listen, thank you for watching the video. What are your opinions on it? Leave us a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell for more.